This film follows the story of a former cop, forced to stand alone against a powerful web of corrupt officials and drug lords, all tied together by money and influence. It raises a simple but dangerous question: can one man really fight a system this big without any protection or backup? Set in the streets of Boston, the story opens with Spenser, an honest and hard-headed police officer who has spent the last 5 years behind bars. His crime wasn't corruption or betrayal, it was losing control and brutally assaulting his own superior officer. Now, after years of confinement, the day of his release finally arrives. But even before he can taste freedom, trouble finds him once again. A fellow inmate who has always despised Spenser stirs up other prisoners, turning his release into a violent farewell. Spenser is forced to fight his way out, proving that prison may have taken his freedom, but it never broke his spirit.
All right, come on.
Outside the gates, Spenser is welcomed by Henry, his longtime friend and a respected police veteran. Moments later, Spenser's former lover arrives as well, hoping to reconnect after years of separation. Still carrying the weight of his past, Spenser isn't ready to face old emotions. He urges Henry to leave immediately, choosing distance over reopening old wounds. Henry takes Spenser to an empty apartment that once belonged to his late father, offering him a place to start over. There, Spenser also meets Driscoll, one of Henry's trusted colleagues who is still active on the force. Driscoll makes it clear that if Spenser ever needs help, he won't turn his back on him. Spenser expects to live alone, but Henry has other plans. He brings in Hawk, another former inmate who was recently released from prison. Henry explains that Hawk's father was a close friend from his high school days. With Hawk having no family and nowhere else to go, Henry feels a personal responsibility to help him. Like Spenser, Hawk is trying to rebuild his life from nothing, bound by a past he can't erase.
Come here, baby, come here. Whoa.
The story then shifts to Captain Boylan, the very man Spenser assaulted 5 years earlier. One night, while driving home, Boylan receives an urgent call from a fellow officer asking him to come to a bus terminal immediately. What appears to be a routine request quickly turns deadly.
He wants to meet everyone at the bus yard ASAP.
Upon arrival, Boylan's car is violently rammed by a speeding van, crushing the vehicle and trapping him inside. The crash is no accident, it's a carefully staged ambush. As chaos erupts, one of the attackers steps forward, pulls a knife from his jacket, and coldly executes Boylan on the spot. The reason behind his murder remains unclear, leaving only questions and suspicion in its wake. The following day, another shocking discovery rocks the city. Terry, the officer who summoned Boylan to the terminal, is found dead inside his damaged van by his wife, Tia. Authorities quickly label it a suicide. Within hours, Boston is flooded with headlines linking both deaths together. The official conclusion claims Terry killed Captain Boylan before taking his own life, closing the case almost as soon as it began. But for Spenser, nothing about this story feels right, and the truth, buried beneath lies and corruption, is only beginning to surface. Watching the news coverage, Spenser can only shake his head in disbelief. He knows Terry well enough to be certain of one thing: Terry was a good cop, and there's no way he would commit such a brutal crime. That same sense of injustice is felt even more deeply by Tia, Terry's wife. To her, the investigation feels rushed and careless, as if the authorities are deliberately looking the other way, determined to bury the truth behind her husband's death. Driven by growing suspicion, Spenser decides to meet Tia in person. He asks a simple but crucial question. During his final days, did Terry have any serious conflict with Captain Boylan?
The night before, Terrence said he had to meet his partner.
Anything I got good in me, it came from her.
Tia explains that the opposite was true. The two men were close, and in the weeks leading up to their deaths, Boylan had been inviting Terry out for drinks more often than usual. This revelation only strengthens Spenser's belief that something is deeply wrong. Before leaving, he warns Tia to stay alert and watch her surroundings. As for himself, Spenser chooses to follow his instincts and heads to a bar known as a regular hangout for police officers.
I know Terrence didn't do it depending on him.
At the bar, Spenser manages to speak with one of Terry's close friends. He presses him for answers, asking what really happened between Terry and Boylan before everything went wrong. The truth slowly comes out. Terry had confided in him, admitting that he suspected Boylan was a dirty cop. Convinced something wasn't right, Terry had begun secretly investigating Boylan's illegal activities on his own. The conversation is cut short when Sergeant Macklin enters the bar with several officers. Macklin, once Spenser's academy classmate, has now taken over Terry's position. Spenser's presence instantly puts him on edge. Tension rises quickly as Spenser's sharp tongue and defiant attitude push Macklin too far. Within moments, Spenser is outnumbered, beaten, and violently thrown out of the bar.
Get the fuck out of Massachusetts.
Bruised and bloodied, Spenser lies outside, catching his breath when something across the street catches his attention. A surveillance camera mounted on a nearby store, pointed directly at the bar's entrance. Instinct tells him that the footage could be critical. When the store owner refuses to cooperate, Spenser has no choice but to take the CCTV hard drive by force. He plans to have Hawk analyze the footage and see what it reveals. The CCTV footage uncovers a disturbing truth. On the night of the incident, Terry is seen leaving the bar before being forced into a yellow sedan, its driver still unidentified. Meanwhile, Terry's own van is being driven by someone else, following the yellow sedan all the way to the bus terminal, the very place where Captain Boylan was murdered. Without hesitation, Spenser heads to the crime scene to confirm his suspicions. There, he verifies that the van which rammed Boylan's car was indeed Terry's, but the footage makes one thing clear: Terry was never behind the wheel. He was already inside the yellow sedan. That's when the truth finally clicks into place. Captain Boylan's murder was carefully staged, and Terry was deliberately framed to take the fall. Spenser's investigation doesn't stop there. At the crime scene, he notices something small but deeply unsettling: a discarded toothpick. Instantly, one name comes to mind: Driscoll. The man is known for constantly chewing on toothpicks, no matter where he goes. Fueled by suspicion, Spenser confronts Driscoll, who has now stepped into Boylan's role as the new police captain. When questioned about the toothpick and the night of the murder, Driscoll flatly denies ever being near the scene.
No, I haven't been there, Spenser. Why would I go there? The case is closed. Let it go.
Afterward, Spenser heads to a boxing gym to meet Hawk. Since getting out of prison, Henry has encouraged Hawk to channel his anger into boxing, and he asks Spenser to help teach him the fundamentals. It's here, amid sweat and bruised knuckles, that Spenser and Hawk begin to form a bond, one built on trust, discipline, and the early stages of a partnership that will soon prove essential. When the training session ends, Spenser and Hawk stop by a nearby cafe to catch their breath. By coincidence, they run into Davis, Spenser's former girlfriend. She confronts him about disappearing after his release, demanding to know why he never reached out. Spenser answers honestly, telling her he plans to leave Boston for Arizona, believing it's the only way to avoid hurting her again. As they step outside the cafe, Hawk suddenly freezes. A yellow sedan drives past them, the same car they've been searching for. Without hesitation, Spenser takes off, cutting through side streets in pursuit. But the chase takes an absurd turn when a dog suddenly bolts after him, barking relentlessly. By the time Spenser shakes it off, the yellow sedan is gone. Frustration boils over, and Spenser snaps at Hawk, accusing him of being useless and just standing there. Hawk calmly defuses the moment with one crucial detail: he memorized the license plate before the car disappeared.
It's pretty good.
Later that day, they track down the vehicle's registration. The yellow sedan is registered to a known drug dealer named Charlie. The discovery tightens the web even further. Charlie, Terry, and Boylan now appear to be connected in ways Spenser can no longer ignore. Knowing where Charlie usually operates, Spenser immediately tells Hawk it's time to move. With Henry joining them, the three men set up surveillance across the street from Charlie's location. As they watch, Spenser explains the real danger they're dealing with. Charlie isn't just a major drug dealer, he's also a professional hitman, someone who kills without hesitation. What's even more disturbing is that despite his reputation, law enforcement has never been able to touch him. Spenser then shares a story from 10 years earlier, back when he was still a cop. He had been assigned to oversee a gentrification project in Utah, where residents were forced out of their homes because they couldn't afford the rising land costs. One young woman openly resisted the project, refusing to back down. Spenser believes powerful elites took notice and hired Charlie to silence her. 2 weeks after her protest, Spenser found the girl dead, murdered. That moment never left him, and now, watching Charlie from across the street, he realizes the past and present are colliding once again. Even after the case was officially handed over to the homicide unit, Spenser couldn't let it go. Something about it felt deeply wrong. He tried to stay involved, but the investigation was shut down almost immediately. When Spenser formally requested to continue digging into the murder, Boylan cut him off without hesitation, insisting the case wasn't as important as the gentrification project they were assigned to protect. Refusing to back down, Spenser launched his own off-the-books investigation. His persistence paid off when he obtained CCTV footage that clearly captured the young woman's murder. But when he brought the evidence forward, Boylan dismissed it outright, claiming the video was fabricated. Disgusted by a system rotting from the inside, Spenser confronted Boylan at his home, demanding the truth. The argument spiraled out of control, and years of frustration finally exploded. Spenser beat Boylan badly, and that moment became the reason he was sent to prison. Now convinced that law enforcement itself was tied to Charlie's crimes, Spenser, Henry, and Hawk agree to uncover the truth and clear Terry's name on their own terms. Their first move is small but deliberate. a warning shot aimed at Charlie, starting with the destruction of his prized car.